Welcome back to Narrow Ground Entertainment. I'm Steve the Unimpressed. This is Steve Solo's 7 Days to Die, Episode 5. The number up there at the top of the screen continues to stand me in good stead with not mixing up the episodes. Oh, now I can't see. Blasted. Bought a mining helmet and then sold it back to a trader. Alright, I'm going to get over that sooner or later. Continuing to excavate down here in the basement. As you get deeper into these ore deposits, you start to get... I'm trying to find where the texture is a little bit different here. You start to get some different soil instead of the regular ground that you dig up outside. You get more sandy, gravelly soil. So you wind up digging up a lot of rocks and crushed sand from it instead of clay, which are useful for different things. Sand you can use in the forge to make glass, and it's also part of making concrete later on. So that's good to keep around. And small stones are useful for a lot of different things. Oh, that's not ore deposit there. That's just regular old dirt. And that's rock. Not having much luck with telling stuff apart today. Alright, in this episode I'm going to run back over to this, or to start off this episode I'm going to run back over to this iron deposit that I found over here. And I'm going to dig up some more iron. That is actually quite close to my main base, isn't it? I'm going to need a lot of iron in the near future. By day 7, I will want to have a lot of iron arrows, like stockpiles of them. And I am also going to need a lot of small stones to continue making the cobblestone rocks that I was talking about in the previous episode and getting my fortification ready. And I am also going to need quite a bit of wood. And I will have to elaborate more on those as time goes on, when I can actually show what I'm going to do with them. For now, let's just get some of this iron out of the ground. We've got a fair iron mine going here now, and I've got 420 more iron to go and add to the forge. That should hopefully get me at least a fair number more arrowheads. I'll hopefully be able to do some other things with that as well. Another tool that I would like to make soon is an iron axe. That will give me similar benefits in acquiring wood that the shovel and the pick have already given me in acquiring iron, stone, and dirt. Let's see if we can get some of that cooking. Alright. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to return to our favorite apartment building and continue my trip through that, now that I've got a little more ammunition. I'd really like to find some things that I can take back to the trader and sell so that I can repurchase the mining helmet. That thing is, as you may have been able to tell from my continued pursuit of it, very useful. Let me go back into the parking garage where we were already. Go into sneak mode. And let's see what else we can find. Shotgun shells. Oof. We've got some zombie dogs down here, some of which we have already faced, so we have seen how dangerous they are. With a little luck, we can take them out with single shots. It's 3. Are there any more? Or is that all of them? It appears that was all of them, so let's go and get our arrows back and get the resources that we can from them as well. Would you look at that? I don't have to make an iron fire axe. We found one. It is lower level than I would be able to make at this point, because I bought the perk that allows you to make better tools. But now we have one without having to do any work. So we'll see. Eventually, I'm sure I will still make one of my own, but maybe I will make until I can make quality. Maybe I will wait until I can make quality 3 tools or something along those lines. Much faster to break through these barricades with the iron axe than it is with the stone axe. Also takes more stamina, but not by that much. That's interesting. There's not really anything on the other side of that. Usually, as I had said in the previous episode, the lights in these structures serve as kind of a guide to where you should go to get the good stuff. Doesn't seem that there is anything that these 2 lights in this apartment indicate anything at all. Oh, now that's very exciting. I just found a schematic for the silencer mod, which, when I have firearms, will be of great help in clearing out these buildings. So the silencer lets you use some of the firearms, not all of them. Some of them, I don't think it's compatible with all of them. But some of them, especially the pistols, you can use a silencer with, and you can still take out zombies stealthily one at a time without the gunshots alerting them all immediately. That's incredibly unrealistic, because many of my friends know that it's actually a pet peeve of mine that these are called silencers. There is no such thing as a silencer for a firearm. They are suppressors, and they do not reduce the sound enough for it to actually be a stealthy weapon. But I won't go on a tirade about that right now. Let's just use it the way it functions in the game. And be glad of the benefit that it provides me. Alright, now let's head upstairs and see what's up here. More barricades, which is not unexpected. Yep, and more zombies. Also not unexpected. Missed her twice. 3 times. Wasting arrows. See if we can do a little bit better with this guy. He flew across the room. Alright. Yeah, I had 30 iron arrows when I started the day. Now I'm down to 20. So it does not take long to burn through those. It's unfortunate, but it is the case. Got at least something good there. Oh, and there's holes in this floor, so I have to be aware of that. He just revealed a couple. Yeah, certain of the buildings have traps like this where you can fall through the floor. So I'm just going to sprint across a bunch of these. Yeah, a bunch of floor breaking underneath me. So when you're looting buildings in this game, be wary of that. What was the book that I picked up from that bookshelf? Ah, okay. The Great Heist, Volume 1. This is one of the skill books that teaches you things you can only learn through the skills. So the Great Heist, Volume 1 is... Okay, I was not sure. It helps you do more damage to safes. Safes, when you find them, you can pick with the lockpicks if you have them, and if you're any good with them, and you can also bash them open with... I would now do it with my iron pickaxe, but you can also do it with a stone axe. You can do it with a stone axe in the early game, and in the later game you probably will either pick the lock or use a iron or steel pickaxe. Either way, I'm going to go ahead and read that, because that's going to be the first of these that I get. Provides you a little bit of experience, and now we have that first thing for the Great Heist. With these skill books, the volume of the book that you find, it will unlock that skill. So I had found volume 1, so I unlocked the thing for volume 1. If I had found volume 6, it doesn't matter. You don't have to read them in order. Whichever one you find and read, that's the one that you can use. I would recommend keeping track of which ones you have read and which ones you have not. You can always look it up in here easily too, but I would recommend trying not to read the same books twice, because it is more valuable, in my opinion. If you find the same book twice, it's better to sell the duplicate copy to the trader and instead of reading it. You'll still get experience for reading it a second time, but you won't get very much. It'll still just be 50 experience. One thing you can see from coming in and looking at the character stats, the experience to next level. Right now I need 4,200 to get to the next level. Every time you level up, it requires more experience to get to the next level. It scales up. So it requires much more experience to get from level, say, 61 to 62 than it does to get from level 6 to level 7. So leveling up slows down as you progress in the game. So by the time you're a higher level, 50 experience for reading a skill book probably isn't as valuable to you as 100 Duke's Casino tokens for selling it. And I'm starving again, so I'm going to go ahead and eat this bacon and eggs. And then I'll continue looting. Much like many of the other things you can find recipes for, you don't actually necessarily have to purchase the Living Off the Land perk to be able to craft seeds. You can find those as recipes as well, and I have just found the recipe for potato seeds. And that will be very valuable. A wrench is one of the tools that I was still missing. And a wrench allows you to disassemble certain other things in the game, like this microwave. If I had used a pickaxe on this, I would just get a few little pieces of iron, but because I disassembled it with a wrench, I also wound up with some electrical parts. I also wound up waking up some zombies that are still lurking around somewhere. Probably through this wall. Yep, there they are. Well, that could have gone better. Here I found another one of the books, Art of Mining Volume 5. This one, I think this is, from the description there, it looks like this is the one that lets you craft some of the resources into compact stacks, which are easier to carry, as the description points out. Let me just look at that in this Art of Mining Volume 5. Yep, that becomes very useful in the later game as you tend to accumulate more of those resources than you can easily store. And I almost just scrapped that by accident instead of reading it. Basic mistakes. I'm making many of them. Oh boy. I'm going to have to ask you to kindly keel over. There we go. Because I want whatever this is. Oh. That should get me most of that mining helmet back. Well, I did find quite a few things in the apartment on this trip that will help me get my mining helmet back. Some of them are better than others, but all of them will be useful in some capacity or another. So I'm going to call it quits on that for now and head back to my base. Oh, there's another zombie. Let's deal with that too. Here, zombie. Crap. I am bleeding. This is why you keep bandages on your hotbar. They stop the bleeding. That wasn't exactly textbook, but it worked out in the end. Another thing that's becoming very noticeable around me, all of these trees are trees that I planted. So plants that you actually deposit yourself in 7 Days to Die advance about a growth stage every day. For trees, it'd be about 300 health per day, I think. And crops, I think, have 2 stages. Let me just run over here and check on those pumpkins that I planted. Assuming I can find where I left them. There they are. Okay, so yeah, this is no longer a seed, it is growing. And if I give it another day, probably it will advance to grown, and then I will be able to harvest it. And when you harvest seeds in 7 Days to Die, you don't then have to craft more seeds to replant. It harvests that and automatically replants it. So you'll harvest it and it will revert to the seed stage and it will start growing again. Trees don't do that. Trees you chop down and then have to replant again. Now, I've looked at my stock of things, stuff that we looted from the apartment today, and stuff that I had in my chest up here. And these things along the bottom of the middle section of my inventory are the things that are going to be valuable for trading. We've got oil, we've got quite a few Duke's Casino tokens that we just found, a flashlight, a structural brace mod, which I would prefer not to sell. I would rather put that on one of my tools or weapons, but I'll sell it if I have to. And ammunition. I am loath to ever sell ammunition in this game. At least ammunition for firearms. Because it is, especially 9mm and 7.62mm, those are relatively difficult to make. One of the reasons for that is you need bullet casings to craft those. To craft bullet casings, you need brass. Brass is, I think, the only resource for making bullets in particular, but for many of the things that you craft, brass is one of the few resources that you can't mine and make yourself. You have to find it in the world. So if you see me magpie-like accumulating anything that says it's made of brass, that's why. Because there is no mineable resource you can use to produce bullet casings in this version. It used to be that you could make steel bullet casings instead of brass, but they took that out. I'm not sure why. For those reasons, I'm loath to ever sell ammunition. You also do not get spent casings back. And of course, I also still have my iron boots that I had picked up from that airdrop in a previous episode. I think between the oil and the flashlight and the casino tokens that I already have, I should have enough to buy that back. But if not, I'll either sell my boots because I would rather have the mining helmet than the boots, or I'll sell a little bit of ammo or something along those lines. And one other thing I'm going to do to help me with that is I have accumulated some skill points that I haven't spent yet. I'm going to come over here and buy at least the first level, maybe the second level of the Better Barter perk, because that allows you to get better prices at the traders and get better items in their secret stashes. Let me see. Do I want to add another point of intellect to get the the second level of that, or do I want to save those points for other things? I think I'm actually going to devote those additional skill points to the perception trait for one, and to the next level of the Lucky Looter perk for the other. Because Lucky Looter is going to be very useful for our continued raiding of apartment buildings and other nearby structures for loot, and it just generally improves the loot that you find in any container that you open. So I think I'm going to use that instead. I do eventually intend to max out my intellect attribute and max out the better barter skill, but that is more useful later in the game than it is at the beginning. Just in general, it is more useful a perk to have when you actually have things that are worth selling to the trader, and right now I really don't. I have now retreated back to my base for the night. I will make that trip to the trader in the next episode to get my mining helmet back. This is the slightly different texture of dirt that I was talking about before that gives you rocks and sand instead of clay soil. Oh, that's just regular dirt again. I was thinking it was rock. So I'm going to probably finish these corners tonight and finish up the floor, and then I will have a completed basement, and I'll start digging down into this stuff, which this coarser, gravelly texture appears wherever you have mineable resources. So if you're just digging through the world at random, which isn't as useful, or I don't do as much as I used to in this game. I used to do it quite a bit, but if you run into patches of gravel, chances are there's some mineable resource in the near vicinity. So I will cut back in throughout the night if there is anything interesting going on, but in all likelihood there will not be. But then again, there are zombie dogs out there. Once again, we are getting on toward morning, so it is time to end this episode. In the next episode, I will run back over to the trader and get my mining helmet back, and then I will start work on the fortifications I'm going to use to survive the 7th day horde. Other than that, I'm not sure what I will have planned for the next episode. Likely more of the same, because this game, you are constantly running around gathering resources, which is part of the fun of it, really. Thank you for watching. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Hit subscribe if you want to see more content like this. And if you want to help me fulfill my dream of eventually doing stuff like this for a living, tell your friends about my channel. Goodbye and God bless.